welcome to Kemma's Never Seen It. I'm Kemma, and today the movie we're going to be talking about is Vanilla Sky. This movie was recommended to me. Never heard of this movie a day in my life, so let's go ahead and see what this movie's about based on the DVD cover summary. Just like with the movie Predator, at the beginning of the DVD cover summary, there's some frills talking about Tom Cruise and stuff, so I'm gonna skip that and just get into the actual description. Young, handsome, and wealthy publishing tycoon David Ames can have anything his heart desires. Still, David's charmed life seems incomplete. One night, David meets the woman of his dreams and believes he may have found the missing piece. But a fateful encounter with a jealous lover suddenly sends David's world out of control, rocketing him on a roller coaster ride of romance, sex, suspicion, and dreams to a shocking final awakening you will never forget. So this movie does a little bit of bouncing around. If you watched my take on the movie Batman Begins, how it bounces around a little bit and I tried to put it in order, that's kind of what I'm going to do now. So to start off with the movie, in my eyes, we have David. He's in this interrogation room and he's being questioned for something. Obviously, he got arrested for something. Not too sure what it is yet, but whatever it is, he's wearing a mask to cover his face. Not sure what that's about either. But then we go into life with David and he wakes up. It looks like he's in New York City. He wakes up, he's doing his morning routine and everything, and he's starting to drive in the street. Or it's Times Square, I'm pretty sure. Now, it looks really weird because we all know that New York City, Times Square is very, very busy. I don't think there's ever a moment where there's not people, but the streets are empty. He doesn't see anybody, no cars, no traffic, no nothing. So he's like, what's going on? And he gets out the car and he's just like, where's the people? What's going on? Like, this is weird. Turns out it was just a dream. But then he actually wakes up and he's still doing his little morning routine. And we're introduced to Juliana. Now, Juliana is they're friends, but they be fucking. I don't think they're in a relationship. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend. They don't have a title or anything. Not too sure how long they've been doing this for, but it looks like they mutually just have this agreement that they just see each other for sex, and then, he goes about his day, she goes about her day.
Bye, honey.
Bye, honey. I'll call you later.
When?
Soon!
So as David's leaving, he gets in his car, he drives down the street, and there's people. So now he's just like, okay, I'm awake, everything's fine. That was just like some weird dream. So he's driving, and he goes to pick up his friend, Brian. And when they're in the car together, they're talking about Juliana a little bit, and Brian is just like, oh my God, you got your fuck buddies with Juliana? That's my dream. Now, David doesn't say that, and that's important to remember. David doesn't say that, but he doesn't necessarily shoot it down. He's just like, we're just friends and, we mess around from time to time. So Brian kind of put those words in his mouth, but David didn't say anything to negate that's kind of how he feels. So then after that, David goes into work. He is the head of his father's publishing business. I believe he's in charge of helping with editing and things like that. His parents had died because of a drunk driver. And so now he owns 51% shares of the company, and the other 49% is with the board. And he calls them the Seven Dwarfs. He doesn't really like them that much because they feel like he's not really deserving of having more shares than them. Nepotism. So they feel like they should have more than him. They just don't get along. They don't mesh. And real quick, back to the questioning, the interrogation. So as he's speaking to the man, it turns out that David is being accused of some kind of murder. He's denying it. He's saying that didn't happen. I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's why he's in there. So we'll figure out what's going on. So back to the story. It's David's birthday. He invites a bunch of people. I'm pretty sure that the board is there too, just a bunch of people coming to his place. And his friend Brian shows up with this woman named Sophia. David has never met her before. This is his first time meeting her, but it was like love at first sight. He was already infatuated with her. As him, her, and Brian were in a group together. Brian was treated as the third wheel. They weren't really paying attention to him. And David is just laser focused on Sophia. Also at that party, we meet Thomas. He's a part of the company as well. I'm pretty sure that's Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter. I don't remember which one. But I've seen most of the Harry Potter. So Don't worry about it. And he's basically saying how he doesn't really trust the board either, the 7 dwarves, and he's going to try to help them as much as he can so they don't take his shares. He's on David's side, and he's trying to help him out and be like, don't worry, we can fight this, we'll be okay. But David isn't really paying attention that much. Again, he keeps looking at Sophia from across the room. Again, he's just in love with her already just by looking at her. So he hears him, but he's just like, yeah, don't worry about it, we'll be fine. So Sophia, because it's his birthday, gave him a gift, and he has the gift, and he goes to bring it upstairs to his room to open later. And guess who is there? Juliana's there, and she's waiting to be unwrapped just like a gift, but she wasn't invited to the party. Which again, I don't know if they've ever had the conversation about their boundaries or what their relationship is, but this is looking pretty dangerous. So she's just like, oh, I wasn't invited. Well, I'm here. And she noticed that he keeps looking at Sophia and kind of brings that up a little bit. But it's just like, it's us, we got this thing going, blah, blah, blah. And yeah. So David goes downstairs and he talks to Sophia and he's just like, oh my God, I have this crazy stalker who's like watching me, da, 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 da. And he's talking about Juliana, which is really, really mean. But Sophia is just like, oh, she looks sad. Like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of mean how he's talking about her, and that'll bite him in the ass in a second. So David runs off with Sophia upstairs to hide from Juliana. And as they're upstairs, Brian sees them as well and is just like, oh, let's all have a drink. Let's do this. So Sophia leaves to go get them some drinks. And then Brian is just like, listen, I know you can have whatever you want, whatever girl you want, but like, I brought her here. I really like this girl. She might be the one, blah, 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 blah. But he's just like, if you go for her, it's not going to ruin our friendship. I think that's really shady. I also think that that's a lack of morals and boundaries between friends. But that's just me. And then after that, Sophia's just like, oh, I got to get home. So David decides to walk her home. He walks her inside. He's looking kind of around the place at all her stuff. And they just start to really get to know each other and hang out a lot. Now, the most they did is kiss. They didn't actually have sex or anything, which is different for him. Again, he's like a bachelor, whatever. So that's usually what he does. But in this instance, he doesn't have sex with her. He actually is like interested in her. So the next morning, as he's leaving her place, here comes Juliana in her car. She followed him to Sophia's place. And she's just like, oh, you went with that girl. She called her a moth. Just like, you went with the moth. Huh, how crazy. But you didn't have sex with her, I can tell. Blah, blah, blah. And somehow she convinces him to get into the car with her so that they can have a drive. Big mistake. So they're driving and everything seems fine so far. But then it switches and Juliana is just like, what is going on between us? I love you and you just don't reciprocate anything to me. And she starts driving all fast and it's getting a little scary.
Do you understand how hard it is to pretend to be your buddy? David, I love you. I fucking love you.
This is why you don't play with people's emotions and you set intentions and boundaries. Like, I don't know what she thought that they were. Obviously, she loves this man. She wants to be with this guy. Apparently, the other night they had sex 4 times, and to her that means something deep to her because she's opening herself up to him, but he's just messing around. And this is why you set intentions. You don't play with people like that. It gets dangerous. And maybe I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm putting a huge trigger warning right here because there are some dark parts that happen later on in the movie as well. So trigger warning, she's driving all fast and she should, and I feel like in her mind at this point, she's like, well, if I can't have you, no one can. She drives off of a cliff, crashes the car, and she ends up dying, but David doesn't. He just ends up in a coma. The good thing is he does come out of the coma, but his face was very construed because of the accident. The board is trying to take advantage of that, saying he's incapacitated, so we're going to take over his shares. David's having all these headaches, so they're just like, you are obviously in no good place to, have your shares and be the head of the company, so we'll take over for you. It's just like, it's crazy what's all happening right now. He's talking to some more doctors to help fix his face, but more than anything, he just has these really bad headaches, and they're just like, well, we can up your medication. And he's just like, no, I don't want more medication. I want these to stop. If there's anything that's experimental, I don't even care at this point. Just do it. I want these headaches to stop.
This isn't about vanity. This is about functioning in the world. It's my job to be out there functioning.
They kind of blow him off a little bit, but they're just like, we'll call you unless you know if anything happens. So in the meantime, he's working on his mobility. He's working on his confidence. That way he can, again, keep his shares of the company, and he makes sure that it's not taken over by the seven dwarves. And with doing all of that, he also gains the confidence to go see Sophia again. So they end up going out to a club with Brian, and that's where the mask debuted. So he's wearing this mask in the club, and it's a little off-putting because it's just this plain white mask. But again, his face is kind of messed up, so he probably just doesn't want to be seen like that. So in the club, he's trying to spit game to Sophia and trying to rekindle something, but it seems like she's not really feeling it. I don't think she is really in that space with him anymore. Now, do I fault her for that? Not necessarily, because again, they met one night and they spent time together for one night. So it's not like they had this huge long relationship and she has to be committed to him, but it is still a little sad.
Say everything now. Just
David,
say everything. Say everything now. Now.
I'll tell you in another life when we are both cats.
So they all end up leaving the club and they're about to split. And Sophia says bye to everybody, but she does leave the door open to hang out again. So that's something for him to kind of hold on to. So she leaves, and before Brian walks away, David brings up Juliana, and he's just like, hey, what happened the night that, the day, night, whatever of the crash? Did you talk to Juliana? Did you tell her that we were just fuck buddies? Because in the car when she was going on that rant, she said that Brian told her that, and that's also what caused her to spiral, because she sees him more than that. So she was just like, if that's all he sees me as and he's talking shit about me behind my back, that's awful when I love this guy. Brian denies it. I don't know why. He's obviously a bad liar, but he denies it and then just kind of walks away.
She was a little more than pissed about it.
Have you been harboring this shit all along? I never talked to her.
And then from there, David goes to go home and he just ends up passing out on the street. The next morning, it looks like he's found by Sophia and he's woken up and he sees her face, but then he gets a quick flash of Juliana, but it goes back to her. So it's kind of just like his head probably messing with him because of the crash and everything that's been going on. But let me tell you, this is the start of some bad stuff. So from there, things start to turn. David and Sophia start spending more time together and they start becoming more close. He ends up going back to the doctor. They say, oh, we found this guy from a different country who knows about this type of surgery that we're going to do on you to help fix your face. So he ends up doing that and he has a mask on there. And at first he doesn't want to take it off because he's kind of scared of what he'll see underneath the mask. But he's with Sophia and she ends up taking it off of him. And his face, look, the surgery worked. His face is back to normal. So from there, Sophia and David look like they're having a really good time. Their relationship is progressing. They're together. But there's something in David's head that switches because he starts having nightmares that his face isn't fixed. It looks the same as it did after the accident. And somehow Sophia is replaced by Juliana. But Juliana is still calling herself Sophia. So the face changes, but she's saying, no, I'm Sophia. What are you talking about? And it turns out this is why David's locked up and being questioned. So there was one morning he woke up and he's woken up by Juliana. He ties up her wrist and I guess he ends up beating her up because, which again, doesn't really fucking matter. Shouldn't have done that. But he ends up beating her up because I guess he's just kind of going crazy. Like, you are not Sophia, you're an intruder. Why are you here? I thought you were dead. You're supposed to be dead. Did you fake this? What's going on? So he freaks out on her and that's why he goes to jail. Well, actually, that's not why he's in there right now, but that's a precursor. He got arrested for that for sure. After he gets out of that situation, pretty sure he posted bail or whatever the case may be, he goes to this bar and there's this man that comes up to him and he says that he can kind of help him with his hallucinations and help control them.
You can make them obey you. Or even destroy you.
Well, what I'd love for them to do is shut the fuck up, especially you.
So when that comes up in the in the interrogation room, oh my God, The man tries to dig deeper. He's just like, okay, so it's something that this man brought to your attention that you can control. So dig deeper. What happened that day that Sophia died? Who did it? What's going on? And they dig deeper and they figure it out. So David goes back to Sophia's place. And as he's looking around the house, everything that he saw before, the different pictures and all the stuff that Sophia had, the face was replaced by Juliana. And again, he's going crazy. He's throwing stuff. Juliana comes out and she's just like, it's me, Sophia. Like, I can help you get over Juliana, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes to a back room. And then after she goes back, she comes back out, but it's Sophia. This movie's confusing and kind of crazy. So Juliana goes to the back room. She comes back out, but she comes back in the body of Sophia. David's relieved. He's just like, thank God, because what's going on with my head? And then they end up having sex. But in the middle of them having sex, flips right back to Juliana. He doesn't stop having sex with her. Gets a little intense, but she doesn't switch back to Sophia and he ends up smothering her. And that's how Sophia died. But he didn't know it was her. He had the pillow over her face. And then she has a marking on her body. He moved his arm. There is the marking. So he knows what he did to Sophia. So the man basically has all the information that he needs right now and he had to go anyway. But David sees this advertisement on TV called Life Extension. And for some reason, this sparks something in his head to be like, I need to go to this clinic. So a guard or a police officer and the man who's interrogating him takes him to the clinic. So basically the premise of this place is that they can take your body and they can kind of like freeze you for however long. And they have this program called lucid dreaming. So as you're frozen and in a standby state, you can still like live throughout your dreams. And then when you want to come back, then you could just like, I guess, request to come back and then live your life. So when David's there, he runs into the man that he saw in the bar. He's tech support. And also he's been kind of popping up throughout the movie, kind of following and watching David through his lucid dreaming. And he's just like, yeah, David, we got your body and you've been frozen for about 150 years. So if you want to kind of come back and live your normal life, you can. This whole time, this has all been a dream.
Tech support. Yes. Yes, I'm your tech support. And we first met 150 years ago.
Oh, shit.
Everything. Well, okay, let me not say everything. When the accident happened, that was real. The accident was real. Up until the bar, that was real when he passed out on the street. And then after that happened, I guess he never really saw Sophia again. And he just got really, really depressed. His headaches wouldn't stop. No one would help him. And he ended up taking his life and he died. But he had already signed a contract with the life extension people. So after he died, they took his body to freeze. And then I guess he would come back to life whenever he requested to. So the relationship building with Sophia, fixing his face, the flashbacks he kept having with Juliana, all that was fake. That was not real. That was part of his lucid dream. So the man tells him, since we're in the future, again, 150 years in the future, you know, there's technology to fix your face. So if you want to wake up, if you want to live your life, if you want to move on, you can. But you got to get over your greatest fear. His greatest fear was heights. So they're on top of this building. And if he jumps down, he will wake up in his regular body. And he thinks about it and he ends up doing it and he wakes up.
Relax, David. Open your eyes.
And that's the end of the movie. This movie, like, it's kind of like, what did I just watch? Because it's kind of confusing. Like, you do have to pay attention because if you don't, you can miss some stuff. And I do like movies like that, but sometimes I get distracted. So I'm kind of just like a little out of it. But if you could sit down and watch this movie and pay attention, I like this movie. It's good. It has weird twists and turns. So this movie got a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. And that also makes a lot of sense of probably why I've never heard of it. But I'll tell you what, I don't agree with that rating. I actually think that this is a good movie. It's just one of those things where you have to pay attention. And I know sometimes like people like, are on their phone when they watch movies, or they're not really paying attention, or they zone out. But if you pay attention, I think you can actually enjoy this movie. I would give this from, let's see, I would give this a 70 range. I thought it was a pretty decent movie. I also think just as a sci-fi movie, it's very interesting. Like, I like the idea that they brought up with the life extension thing, because that's things that we've heard of before, of like cryogenically freezing your body and then you wake up in the future and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm pretty sure we heard of that, or the theory of that. So I like how this kind of brought it into perspective, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is what happened, but here are the risks of it. Like, you can still suffer in your dreams, but the dreams are what you make it. You control your dreams. So that's really cool. But that's the end of my video. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in this week. If there's something that you liked about my video, didn't like about my video, you want to say how good I did, or you have any suggestions for any movies that I can watch in the future, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and tell everybody you know about my channel. I'm still here, guys. I'm still posting, and thanks for recommending these movies. They've been pretty interesting, and I've been enjoying most of them. Also, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at kemmasneverseenit, and BlueSky at thatskemmaj. You also can go on those pieces of social media and recommend movies for me to watch as well. I also would like to say I appreciate you guys, and I want to express my gratitude for you watching me every week. I know, every Thursday, as soon as it hits 9 a.m., you start watching the video. But if you don't do that, or this is your first time watching me, I have more videos back there that you can go ahead and check out. You might get mad at me for some of my opinions, but that's okay. Go ahead and let me know what you think. But that's it for my video this week, guys, and I will see you back here next Thursday. Bye.